Good morning and welcome to the Malaysia Forum 2012 in KL. Just a reminder, kindly turn off or silence your cell phone so that it doesn't disrupt the panel. Okay, so thank you all for coming, as well as those joining us online from the University of Pennsylvania, University of Michigan, Nanyang Technology University, and others around the world. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Help University, Datuk Dr. Chan, Datin Chan, and all the Help University staff for accommodating us today. The Malaysia Forum was founded in 2003 by a group of Malaysian students and young working people in San Francisco seeking to engage in civil conversations on Malaysia issues in a respectful and unbiased manner. Since then, Malaysia Forum has grown to include communities in London, Sydney, Boston, Singapore, and of course across Malaysia. Malaysia Forum members come from all walks of life. Among active participants today are journalists, musicians, researchers, software developers, and students. It is this diversity that helps to bring out multiple perspectives during a conversation so that everyone who participates learns something new. Our events are meant to be safe spaces for all people and all opinions. We try to ensure that everyone can have their voice heard in a welcoming environment. In addition to the annual Malaysia Forum conference, such as this weekend's event, Malaysia Forum members engage in email discussions and small in-person discussions throughout the year. We welcome you to join our community by indicating on the sign-in sheet if you haven't already done so. This year, the theme Maka Kami is borrowed from the first half of Malaysia's Rukun Negara. Most Malaysians are more familiar with the second part of the Rukun Negara, as it is often recited every Monday on school grounds during our weekly assembly, and it was on the back of our school books. But this year, Malaysia Forum takes particular interest in the lesser remembered, but no less interesting, first half of the Rukun Negara. It is our aim this year to engage panelists, participants, and fellow Malaysians in a conversation about these Rukun Negara principles that shape us as Rakyat. We hope to shed some light on how these principles relate to some of the everyday questions that we face as a nation. We will have two panel discussions, for which we have the honor of having several distinguished speakers. After the official program, we hope you will join us for a casual lunch discussion session at the Ali Maju Bistro just upstairs.
Bistro.
Our first panel is on the first principle, Mencapai perpaduan dan memelihara demokrasi. We are joined by Yang Berhormat Dato Saifuddin Abdullah, the Deputy Minister of Higher Education, a Member of Parliament for Temerloh, and elected member of the UMNO Supreme Council. Datuk Lee Hwa Beng, elected State Assemblyman of Subang Jaya under the MCA banner from 1995 to 2008. Yang Berhormat Nik Nazmi, a member of PKR and the State Assemblyman for Seri Setia, Selangor. Mr. Edward Ling, the Political Secretary to Hannah Yeoh, the current State Assembly person for Subang Jaya. And Dr. Ong Kian Ming will be our moderator. He is a political analyst and lecturer in the Faculty of Economics and Policy Science at UCSI University. With great pleasure, I hand this over to Dr. Ong Kian Ming. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I was going to invite you guys to come.
Hi everyone, I'm very informal, so let's make this session as informal and engaging as possible. Please, gentlemen, take your seats. What's that? Please, Datuk Lee, Dato Saifuddin. Yeah. Do you want to sit on my extreme left, and then Nick can sit on my extreme right? This is not an indication of their political affiliation, but I think just want to mix it up so that we can have a free flowing debate from different sides. The theme for this first panel is I've been given is perpaduan and democracy. The full title is actually Mencapai perpaduan dan memelihara demokrasi, achieving unity and maintaining or upholding democracy. All four are seasoned politicians, so there's no need for me to ask them to stick to the topic because they will speak on whatever they want to speak on. But I will only ask them to speak about 5 minutes each, after which I will pose one question to each of them. And then after that, I'll open the floor to discussion. We'll take questions from the floor as well as from UPenn in the US. And we'll try and make this as engaging as possible. Please feel free to ask controversial questions. I'm sure this is the spirit of MF that we'll be discussing this within a context of openness and open-mindedness. So without much further ado, I'll just announce the order of speakers. First speaker will be Edward Ling. Second speaker would be Datuk Lee Hwa Beng. Third speaker would be Nik Nazmi, and then fourth speaker would be Dato Saifuddin. So without any delay, I'll pass it to Edward for 5 minutes. Thanks. Thank you and good morning, good evening. So my name is Edward. I'm the Voluntary Political Secretary to NIO. So it's really an honor to be invited here to speak to you about unity and democracy. So I won't take too long, I'll go straight to the point. So to me, unity is when we are truly Malaysians first, when we don't have any discriminatory policies, and this is replaced with what I call the just policies. So in terms of what I mean by just policies is, for example, if I were to say fair policies, and if I had maybe 1,000 ringgit here, and I would divide it equally, everybody, let's say there's 10 people in the room, and everyone would get 100 ringgit, there will be a fair policy. But when we say just, I would mean just in the sense that given to you based on your need. So for example, if I have 1,000 ringgit and maybe somebody here is from a lower income group, and then you give you a more appropriate amount of the share of the dollars. And also, I would go into some of the suggestions that I would have about having more unity. First, I think that it's very important that we have a school system that will encourage us to be more united. Firstly, I would suggest that we unite the schools together and teach languages as they should be, and not divide us by based on race in terms of our schools, and also in terms of a lot of discriminatory policies, and also in terms of, for example, having open discussions like what we have here this morning, not just on issues of unity and democracy, but also other things such as open discussion on religion, so that we can better understand each other. On the aspect of democracy, I would say Malaysia today is pretty much what I would call in a stage of infant democracy. Why I define that is that we need improvements in many areas. So yes, we have a right to vote, but I think we know that the election process needs to be improved, and there also needs to be a democracy at a additional level. Some of you know we elect the members of parliament and also the state assemblymen, but I believe for more accountability and a better system, we should also elect on the third level, which is at your local council level, where you elect your mayors or your YDPs, right? And also in terms of democracy, why I say Malaysia is at a infant democracy, because I believe that we will define a full democracy as one with a good executive, right? A very democratic legislative, independent judiciary, and also a vibrant press. So in terms of the executive, I think Malaysia has some level of corruption in our executive. In terms of the legislative, there may be a system in your parliament or in your state assembly where a lot of open discussions may not happen. So for example, if I'm affiliated with a certain political party, there's a term that they call toe the line, meaning that if my party whip or my party leader wants to move a certain motion, and even though I don't agree with that particular motion, I have to toe the line or risk being moved into cold storage or being discriminated against. So this is definitely against the principles of democracy, because even though I may be in the same political party or political coalition, I definitely will have difference of opinions, and I should be allowed to speak as I would, right? And also in terms of an independent judiciary, there's a lot of question marks with how independent our judiciary is. There's a lot of speculation on appointments of judges and etc. I'll leave that to another day. And also, of course, in terms of a vibrant press, it's important to have an independent press that is not controlled by any bodies, and I think that is very lacking in Malaysia. For example, if any one of you want to become an editor and open a new media, or let's say a new newspaper, I would say wish you all the best, or maybe you can go online, right? And also in terms of the right to freedom of assembly, and this is example. I think there's an assembly coming up on April 28th. So I think the basic right. Let's say we go to Article 20 in the Declaration, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, where everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. So I think we need to be allowed to do this in a peaceful manner. And if you have joined us at these political rallies, you realize that we are very peaceful, and the only violent people are typically the enforcement. Okay, and also how thriving is our political arena, or in terms of democracy. If you try to form a political party, I think it is very difficult. There's a lot of red tape. In fact, even branches of political party take up to two years or more sometimes to form. I think there was an issue with Party Socialist Malaysia having PSM, having issues getting ROS to approve. So if you want a thriving democracy, you will need to improve on these processes and ensure that students can form political parties. There is no draconian laws in universities that disallow people from voicing their rights. This didn't exist a long time ago, where a lot of our leaders today were very good student leaders, including the likes of Datuk Lee Hwa Beng and Dr. Mahathir himself. Right. So also coming back to the school system, we need to have a system where students especially can practice, for example, election of their student leaders. Yeah, and going to finish really. So also the whole idea, I studied of course locally, and I went 1 year overseas, and I felt that because we were not used to choosing things, or for example choosing subjects that you study in school, this is something that needs to be encouraged instead of forcing us into a system where everything is decided for us. So with that, I just end on my 5 minutes. Thank you.